You ever wonder about Halo 3?
Like how?
Maybe someone out there understands all the meaning and the questions we've wondered about.
I guess.
Were it so easy? Mystery. Let's talk about it.
Well, first of all, Halo 3 was wholly shrouded in mystery before its release in 2007. I mean, even more shrouded than Desert Master Chief from that Halo 5 teaser. Looking back on the games now, and even when I started playing back in 2009, it seemed to be a pretty smooth transition from the ending of Halo 2 into the first mission of Halo 3. But much like we all feel about Halo Infinite's ending now, when you don't know if the story will actually get a sequel, a cliffhanger like that can lead to frustration, anxiety, and even outrage from the fans. And it certainly did after Halo 2's ending, with the Master Chief gearing up for battle with that famous line,
"Finishing this fight."
A line like that filled us with excitement and anticipation, but then the credits rolled, and that confusing moment set in where we thought, that's it? Then we were like,
What fight, Chief? Where's the fight?
it wasn't until years later at E3 in 2006 that they finally got their answer. And even that barely happened. I mean, after all the chaos and production problems with Halo 2, many of the developers were left feeling incredibly burnt out. Jason Jones, one of the lead writers for Halo 2, wasn't even sure he wanted to make video games anymore. So, with several of the previous Halo writers stepping away from the wheel, Halo 3's story was basically left up to committee. Luckily, they still managed to put together a compelling narrative with the help of Halo's musical lead, Marty O'Donnell. This was the same genius behind the Halo theme we all know and love, that is still heard across the world in every stairwell, empty room,
and generally any place that has a decent amount of echo and a gamer with a good set of pipes.
But how do you follow up two masterpieces in a row with something decent enough to avoid being crushed by the weight of what came before? Well, you capitalize on the greatest writing weapon of all: mystery. And Marty O'Donnell was no stranger to mystery. The Halo theme alone is proof of that. Funny enough, the theme's foundational sound was actually inspired by the song Yesterday.
I've always analyzed that melody. It's got one high point, it's got one low point, got four sort of irregular phrases. I actually decided to do a monk scale, which is Dorian. All my troubles seem so far away. Ah.
This ability Marty had to take what has come before and almost cloak it behind a wall of questions about what kind of meaning could be hidden underneath the notes and tempo made him the perfect addition to Halo 3's story. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, because after the announcement at E3, the unanswered questions were far from over. Halo 3's marketing team did their best to continue this trend of mystery and holy reverence that we had come to know as synonymous with the Halo series. The Believe ad campaign being the prime example. It consisted of a fictional mini-documentary series highlighting different relics from the battles in the Halo games. There were interviews from the now older veterans who were once Marines that we would actually fight alongside during the battles in the game, and they took their time telling the story. How humanity was on its last leg, how they had almost lost all hope, how the only thing that kept them alive was the belief that Master Chief, aka you, were still in the fight. But the mystery is not in what we see or hear from these men, it's in what we don't hear. When the veterans speak about their time during the war or the battles we will come to know when we finally get to actually play this game, they clearly hold a lot of trauma surrounding it. This causes them to get choked up and struggle to speak in any real detail about the events, leaving only our imaginations to fill in the grand and epic scale of these battles. Eventually, the documentary revealed the diorama they had been building in honor of the battle that turned the tide of the Human Covenant War. There were shots of soldiers frozen in time that gave us a sense of wonder and awe that a CGI or live action battle scene would just lack. It's the stillness that got us dreaming of what led up to such an event. And in the end, there's a slight glow on Master Chief's grenade and an unexpected turn of his head in an otherwise still diorama that filled our hearts with hope. Not knowledge, not certainty, but hope that the hero could prevail. Because the big question was, will the Master Chief die in Halo 3? This is continually alluded to in these ads in the way they speak of him in the past tense and with such reverence. If you haven't seen the Believe ads, then do yourself a favor and check them out, seriously. Because what made them stand alone from so many other game trailers is that you didn't see gameplay displaying the amazing graphics or awesome action that Halo 3 might have in store for you, but instead, you're learning about this game in the same way a kid would learn about World War II today, by hearing the stories of the veterans who fought for justice all those years ago. As they struggle to articulate the emotions of a war like this, you hear their reverence and their trauma practically bleeding from their words. The twist is, you get to be their hero. You get to live out the victory they speak of and be the one agent of change that fulfilled their hopes and secured their victory. To close these ads with a single title card, Believe added that last beautiful note of mystery and religious subtext back into the equation. It brought back that archetypal truth that we felt deeply in our bones. Because in life, you have to believe, because you just don't know everything. There's so many questions in life that are unanswered and gaps that are left unfilled. And just mystery. Why are we here and what's this all for kind of mystery? So when a writer leaves these gaps in their story, they're not only making their story more relatable and true to life, but what they're also doing is inviting you to the writer's room. For the life of me, I do not understand why so many modern writers fail to learn what Spielberg learned by accident when his mechanical shark broke on the set of Jaws. It's the mystery that captivates. The imagination of the audience will always be better than any explanation you are likely to come up with. Just think for a second about how many freaking theory videos have been sparked from the Halo community because of the mystery in these games. We throw around biblical terms like canon and canonical, trying to piece together the reality of this fictional world because there's so much we don't know about it.
I mean, what we don't know about the Forerunners alone could fill entire libraries. And that's not a joke. Greg Bear actually proved that.
But outside of Halo, we see the mistake of over-exploration sapping the mystery out of stories countless times. It's the same thing that went wrong with the short film Lights Out when it was adapted to the big screen. The original short film had no dialogue and only showed us what we needed to see in a few minutes flat. The film quickly established the monster, raised our collective fear, and wrapped up the story without explaining a single rule, backstory, or even location. This left enough mystery to activate our mind's ability to wonder. The gaps unfilled can feel almost endless because, like Schrodinger's cat, they could be / almost kind of are any potential imaginative idea you could dream up. However, when Lights Out was adapted into a full-length movie, the writers filled in all of those gaps, leaving no room for mystery, no room for you at the writer's table. They gave this monster a name, a backstory, and established exactly how it works and how it could be defeated. Well, now it's not really so scary because we know what it is and how to handle it. It might be hard to handle, but it was never the difficulty that captivated our interest in fear. I mean, calculus is hard, but I'm not lying awake at night thinking of what equations might be hiding under my bed. Okay, maybe sometimes. But regardless, with Lights Out, it was the ambiguity of the thing, the mystery that stuck with us. It's important to remember that mystery has always been a part of this series. While I feel like Halo 3 definitely capitalized on it, mystery was not a new concept to the trilogy at all. In the first game, for example, we discover the Halo ring at the same time as the characters. So when we ask, what are these giant triangle structures? Who made any of this? And where are they anyway? The characters are asking the same thing. We get to discover the mystery of Halo, or more accurately, some small pieces of the mystery, slowly, along with Master Chief, Cortana, and the rest of humanity. We hear scattered talk of an ancient alien race that we know almost nothing about, including their name, referred to only as the Forerunners. We walk into giant, meticulously designed structures that are empty and hollow, but that practically haunt our imagination with questions of their origins and what happened to their makers. This would be on a par with someone in the modern world coming upon the ancient pyramids and having no prior knowledge of a civilization ever existing in Egypt at all. If you're unaware of some of the mysteries of the pyramids, let me lay out a few for you. So, first of all, oddly, all four corners of the pyramid perfectly and precisely point in each direction is true north, south, east, and west. First of all, wow. So that fact, and also the sheer size of these things, still astounds us today and leave us scratching our heads and wonder about how they could have possibly done all that without modern tools and technology. Now, those gaps are already plenty wide enough for every history buff and conspiracy theorist to run wild with theories of ancient aliens or even prior human civilizations more advanced than us in every way that could have been wiped out long ago. Now, is any of that true? Well, we don't know. But the beauty is, and the fun is, in the gaps. Now let's imagine for a second widening those gaps by placing the pyramids on a distant planet void of all life. And actually in Halo's case, the analogy goes a step further because the planet itself isn't even a planet, but instead some incredible ancient structure that we can't even fathom. And I'm still just talking about the premise of the game here. We see all of this in the first menu screen. The trilogy, of course, goes on to deepen this mystery with elements like the Flood, the I Love Bees campaign from Halo 2, which honestly could warrant a video in and of itself, and finally with the story of Halo 3. If Halo 2 focused on the danger of religious certainty, then Halo 3 takes it a step further by practically bathing in the wonder of religious mystery. So in the story of Halo 3, Master Chief finds himself back on Earth, and we find out that the Covenant are looking for something under the African desert. The artifact they find creates a portal which, you know what? I should probably acknowledge this again. They find an ancient Forerunner-related artifact on Earth, buried under the African desert. This opens up so many questions. How did it get there? Who put it there? What kind of connection could this ancient alien race have with humanity? Why would they leave a key artifact on Earth of all the million places in the galaxy that could have left it?
Would you forget about Cortana's interruptions to save your video?
No, right. You're right. So there's this part that's a little controversial because plot-wise, it's very interesting that Cortana, or some strange remnant of Cortana in Chief's mind, seems to haunt him throughout the game. Since the last time we saw her, she was left on high charity with the Flood at the end of Halo 2. And now this opens up a lot of mystery about what might be happening to her and if she's okay.
Where is she, Chief? Where's Cortana?
There are continual theories and questions about if Cortana can be trusted after spending so much time with the Gravemind, the master manipulator, the monument to our sins. He has the ability to infect artificial intelligence with a sort of logic plague, the self-defeating reason that falls in love with its own creation, another reference to religious fundamentalism. You say anything in the right way, and if you can wrap your twisted logic around it, then eventually you can break someone down, anyone down. But again, gameplay-wise, it's pretty annoying to be interrupted every few minutes by a cryptic message that obstructs your view, slows you down, and essentially keeps you from being able to play the game at all until it's over. I mean, imagine if there were continual messages which completely interrupted my video.
Wait up, hold on a second. I don't think we can go forward without mentioning the Flood. You're talking about mystery and the unexpected. Well, how about the fact that you get to fight alongside the Flood? You know, the evil parasite that the Forerunners sacrificed themselves to stop? Yeah, they're your allies for a bit. Did anyone see that coming? Master Chief and Arbiter didn't. Just look at their reactions in the cutscene.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a really good point. Why didn't I think of that? Anyway, let's skip ahead to the end. After all is right in the galaxy and Master Chief is floating off into space, he finally lays back to rest and leaves us with the most important and mysterious ending line of all.
Wake me when you need me.
And that is how you end a story that found its very identity in its mysterious narrative. There's a mystical quality to it all, a sense of wonder that was never meant to be squashed by someone's attempt at filling those gaps. Those gaps are the very thing that make Halo so special. After the memorial for Chief back on Earth, we're left with the intimacy of just the two characters we've known all along, our proverbial yin and yang. They stand in the wreckage of only a few walls that separate them from the mystery, unknown, and chaotic void of space. We see the Forward into Dawn slowly drift into space, and that's all we know. And yes, I can already hear some of your responses to that saying, what about Halo 4? We do know what happens next. And my response to that would be that this story belongs first to Bungie and second to the fans. In the original trilogy, Bungie left this ending open to interpretation. And in my eyes, I see 343's Halo 4 as just one interpretation among many. A pretty good interpretation, admittedly. I mean, I really like Halo 4. It's a beautiful story worthy of its own video for sure, but in my mind, because of all of the elements of its archetypes, religion, and mystery, the Bungie trilogy will always be set apart as the definitive Halo story. They leave things like the Forerunners mostly shrouded in mystery, but still strongly hint at them being ancient humans, with Guilty Spark actually saying outright, "You are Forerunner!" But because of all of the mystery around it, and because Guilty Spark could have simply just been wrong, 343 is able to fill in those gaps and give us their own interpretation, which may be different than what Bungie or even you and I had in mind. To 343, the Forerunners aren't the ones who came before, but actually a race that just literally calls themselves the Forerunners, which always confused me for like a million reasons. But with Halo 3, its story and its archetypes and mystery, and really its core truth, they're all contained and wrapped up so beautifully in that original ending. After all we've done throughout these games, we're still left wondering in the end, did the Chief even live to fight again? Was his ship ever found? Or did he save the day and look back at a grateful universe before potentially disappearing into the void forever? The thing is, and this is what really makes Halo 3 special, is that we don't know. Just as a soldier or any other hero that dies for what he believes in, we also don't get to reap the spoils of that victory. We just sit, take a breath, and reflect on the divine mystery of what it means to truly make a sacrifice, what it means to be a hero. And to me, that's what it means to be a Halo story. The wonder and mystery of it all. To sum up, I don't really think I could put it better than my 12-year-old self when I said,
"Oh my gosh, freaking Halo."
Yep, that's about the size of it. Thanks for watching. A special thank you to Frogarchist for being a part of this video. It was an honor to work with a fellow Halo nerd out there in the YouTube community. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos on the original Halo trilogy and keep a lookout for what comes next. I'm planning on continuing to dive into the Halo series by popular demand, but what do you think? What game, show, or movie should I dissect after that? I've mostly heard the BioShock and Marathon series so far, so if you have another one, make sure to leave it in the comments. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Later, guys.